Chosen one, this isn't content. It's a code. And the moment you press play, you're activating a part of yourself that's been dormant for lifetimes. Something unseen has aligned to bring you here. What if I told you they only called you crazy because your clarity interrupted their control? You felt it, the dissonance when your spirit saw the trap they swore was care. You know the ache of isolation when your instincts whispered truth and the world screamed delusion. Today, those hidden snares will be revealed, turning every doubt they planted back upon their own devices. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay close, because what they feared most is now coming to light. Spiritual clarity feels like madness in a blind system. Have you ever awakened from a dream of walking a vast, silent corridor, only to feel the walls pulse with hidden messages meant just for you? In that moment, even before your eyes fully open, you sense a tension between what you experience in sleep and the dull certainty of the waking world. The whisper of meaning in that corridor lingers in your chest like a secret heartbeat, reminding you that the ordinary veil is thin and that what many dismiss as madness is often the first knock of awakening. This dreamlike fracture between realms isn't an accident but an unveiling, a gentle prod from the unseen world, confirming that what you've always suspected in the quiet of your mind is real. There have been evenings when you sat among friends, laughter echoing around you, yet you felt isolated by a pull you couldn't name. You remember the unease, as if every joke and idle complaint hit a wrong note in your soul. Sensitivity felt like a curse, isolation like a cage, and confusion settled in your thoughts like mist. You questioned whether the term too sensitive meant you were broken, or if everyone else was merely asleep. In those moments, your spirit's alarm bells rang quietly but persistently, warning you that your inner compass was pointing toward truths no one else seemed willing to acknowledge. What if those uneasy heartbeats were never mere quirks of personality, but markers on a hidden map? Imagine your life as a grand tapestry woven by an unseen weaver, each thread, every pang of longing, every restless night, placed with intent. In Jeremiah 1 verse 19, the prophet was told that opposition would rise against him, yet he would not be overcome. Your life echoes that message. Your heightened perception, the loneliness it brings, and the friction with comfort zones were never accidents but the shaping forces of a divine design. These patterns are the warp and weft of your awakening, guiding you toward a destiny they strove to keep secret. Lately, subtle signs have begun to surface in your daily world, like luminescent runes appearing on familiar stones. You wake to clocks pointing to repeating numbers, 2:22, 3:33, as though time itself pulses to your awakening rhythm. A phrase from a passing conversation lingers in your mind, opening doors of insight you didn't know were locked. You find your skin prickling in certain places, or your breath catching when you encounter a word or a face that resonates with something deep inside. These moments are not coincidences, but the universe's own script, inviting you to read the hidden language of spirit woven into the mundane. With each of these tremors of awareness, a quiet confirmation unfolds within you. Your intuition has been your truest guide. You didn't imagine that gut-wrenching certainty that some rooms carried heavy energy, nor the inexplicable pull towards certain books or teachings. And as these confirmations stack upon one another, not in a single blaze of light, but in a gentle dawning, all doubt begins to dissolve. You feel a newfound safety in your spine, a grounded assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. This is a gentle realignment of spirit and flesh, an invitation to trust the inner lighthouse that has always shone for you. Now you sense that remembering who you really are isn't about adding roles or titles, but about peeling back the layers they draped over you. Beneath the weight of expectations, the hushed judgments, and the protective masks lies an archetypal memory, your spiritual birthright. It is the echo of Eve's voice in Eden before the fall, untainted and whole, or the resonance of Adam naming creation in innocence. That original resonance hums in your veins, waiting to be reawakened. In reclaiming it, you don't become someone new. You simply stand fully in the being you were always meant to embody. As the veil between your inner world and the unseen grows thinner, you feel the first activation of your true potential. What once felt like crippling sensitivity now pulses with the promise of deeper empathy. What you once called overthinking blooms into divine discernment. Your spiritual hunger, once a source of pain, now becomes a fuel for purposeful living. This activation is not an explosive transformation, but a slow, deliberate unfurling, like a lotus rising petal by petal from muddy waters. Each revelation grounding you more firmly in your purpose. Your arrival here was no accident, but a moment of destiny. The same forces that once whispered, "You're too much," now strained to contain the surge of your awakening. They branded your clarity as madness to suppress the truth, yet here you stand, vision unshaken. Comment madness if you felt the sting of being gaslit for trusting your spirit, and share a moment when your inner alarm blared against the world's insistence on normalcy. What comes next will guide you through the next hidden snare they've laid, equipping you to walk unshakable in the power of your awakened soul. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. How spiritual traps come disguised as help. A late afternoon's golden light sometimes falls across your desk just so, and in that beam, you catch the tremor of something hidden, a folded note you never asked for, a piece of advice delivered with too much warmth. The words feel inviting, and you reach out for them, only to sense a subtle pull, as if beneath the honeyed surface, unseen cords wind around your confidence, tugging you back. You pause, heart fluttering, aware that this help carries a price you haven't yet glimpsed. This is the moment the trap reveals itself, not with a shout but with a hush, a lullaby that lulls you toward compliance. In that quiet heaviness, you sense the first tremors of betrayal hidden in a gesture meant to comfort. In those rooms filled with sympathetic nods and pained expressions, you felt a surge of relief. Finally, someone understood, yet relief curdled into unease as layers of expectation descended upon you. The directive to apologize for your boldness, the subtle insistence that your gift of discernment made others uncomfortable. Shame crept in, wrapping around your spirit like a damp shawl, inviting you to fold inward. You recall the knot of humiliation tightening when your boundaries were gently questioned, your passion reframed as overreacting, your instincts deemed too intense. These weren't mere miscommunications. They were the psychological vice of care disguised as constraint. Consider the experience of Hagar in the wilderness, reminded of her place by Sarah's kindness when it came cloaked in scorn. Her position between serving and survival echoed the tension you know too well. Acceptance offered only in exchange for your silencing. Like the villagers who begged Isaiah to prophesy comforting lies. "Tell us what we want to hear," they demanded. You've been courted by messages pleasing to flesh but starving to the soul. This is no random sting of human frailty. It is a sacred battle unfolding in the unseen realms, where forces aware of your potency move swiftly to fillet your power in plain sight. Now, turn your gaze inward and trace the recurring threads. The well-intentioned mentor who expected unflinching compliance, the prayer circle that applauded meek submission, the workshop where the facilitator praised conformity over originality. These moments shine like warning beacons when viewed through awakened eyes. You see how each well-meaning gesture left you a little more hollowed out, a little more hesitant to trust your own voice. The patterns emerge not as coincidences, but as deliberate attempts to recode your spirit, to bend you toward a narrative that never included your true essence. There comes a day when the air around your interactions thickens, as though a fog of unseen watchers has descended upon your ordinarily vibrant life. You feel the subtle dampness on your skin, the stagnation in your breath, the way conversation stalls precisely when you propose a new direction. Doors you expected open remain stubbornly shut, and the help you once deemed benign now feels like an anchor, holding you in place at the depths. In that oppressive atmosphere, spiritual sabotage rises from the periphery into view, energetic interference that dampens creativity, dims the brightness of your vision, and tries to mask your inner light under layers of doubt. Faced with a spiritual ambush, your reactions unfolded in a series of survival moves. Some mornings, you wrapped yourself in questions. Am I wrong to trust my gut? Hoping reflection would restore equilibrium. Other days, you attempted to please those who offered guidance, sacrificing authenticity for their fleeting approval. And on the nights when neither approach worked, you found solace in silent rebellion, journaling promises of future defiance, rehearsing the day you would speak without apology. Each response was a mirror showing both your vulnerability and your burgeoning resilience, your fear of breaking and your longing for the unbroken truth at your core. But here, in the pressure of the disguised mercy, a subtle shift begins. The very chains of obligation they wrapped around you as kindness now serve to illustrate your resolve. You recognize that their insistence on your acquiescence is proof of the threat your authenticity poses to their comfortable illusion. With a fierce whisper, you reclaim every piece of yourself they tried to tuck away, speaking aloud the boundaries they demanded you hide. This reclamation is not a cry of anger, but a prophetic decree. The authority they sought to deny you is now stepping into the light, reclaiming ground that was never theirs to grant or take. You are offered help because you carry a power they cannot contain. Each attempt to tether your spirit has only illuminated the vastness of your calling. The more they sought to reshape you, the more evident your true form became, radiant, unbound, and unstoppable. Comment help if you felt kindness spin into control, and tell us a moment when you first recognized the trap behind the gift. What unfolds next will guide you in dismantling these snares and stepping fully into the sovereignty of your awakened purpose. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. The traps that sound like love. A sudden breeze stirs the flame of a single candle, causing its light to dance in shifting patterns across the walls of your heart. In that moment, loyalty feels less like a warm embrace and more like a tether pulling you off balance. You realize the devotion you once cherished was never unconditional, but laced with expectations you barely noticed. Until now, that flicker of awareness crackles through your spirit, hinting that what you mistook for love may have been a carefully woven snare, designed to conceal true intentions beneath the guise of care. There were afternoons when praise rolled off their tongues like velvet ribbons, each compliment a promise of belonging, only to tighten around your throat the moment you breathed beyond their guidelines. You remember the parent who applauded your achievements, yet bristled if you dared to speak your own desires. The friend whose concern felt soothing until it became a daily check on your thoughts and moods. That affection, initially comforting, revealed itself as a labyrinth of guilt traps, where every misstep evoked heartfelt admonitions and tearful pleas that kept you bound to their narrative of who you should be. What if these entanglements were never innocent expressions of care, but echoes of an ancient pattern meant to suppress awakening? In the story of Samson, Delilah's whispered, "I only want what's best," masked a blade that severed his strength. Like Delilah's coils, these words of love and support were barbed with hidden motives, to clip your wings so you would never rise. This hidden battle mirrors the wilderness trials of the Israelites, whose mercies disguised snares that tested their faith. Your own trials have been of the heart. Love as a battlefield where your freedom was the prize at stake. As you rewind your memory, the patterns become painfully clear. Each holiday dinner felt like a performance where your gratitude was measured. Each friendly gesture came preloaded with unspoken demands, and every confession of need returned as a lesson in self-restraint. You see now how affection was wielded like a scalpel, precise, painless at first, but carving away pieces of your autonomy. These weren't random moments of misjudgment. They were strategic moves in a game you never agreed to play, designed to keep your spirit docile and your vision narrowed. Then came the days when the air itself felt heavy with unspoken rules. You entered rooms and immediately sensed a shift, as though unseen watchers recalibrated their smiles to cloak control. Conversations derailed the instant you mentioned your own dreams, and laughter hushed when the topic of your awakening surfaced. That dense atmosphere, fog that clung to your skin, was the breath of spiritual sabotage, thickening the very space you needed to soar. In those moments, love's warm currents reversed, pulling you down into currents of obligation and self-doubt. Faced with these twisted shows of devotion, you reacted in ways both human and heroic. You tried compliance, hoping to appease the invisible gatekeepers of affection, only to find your spirit shriveling under the weight of their silent pieties. At other times, you retreated into private rebellion, scribbling truth into journals you vowed never to share, rehearsing the day you would speak these secrets aloud. Each response reflected your deep yearning for authentic connection and your fierce refusal to be silenced by kindness that stung. Now, feel the electric spark of reclamation as you recognize these traps for what they are, markers of your power. The same affection that sought to cage you now becomes proof that your light demands freedom. Like Ruth, who chose loyalty to herself over the comfortable bitterness of her past, you stand at the crossroads of genuine love and false devotion. With a quiet roar, you reclaim every iota of consent you gave under duress, affirming that true love uplifts rather than confines. Revelation is never the end. It is the invitation to step forward into uncharted grace. Your journey has taught you that authentic love honors boundaries and celebrates autonomy, weaving bonds that empower rather than entangle. Comment love if you felt affection twist into a noose, and share a moment when you first glimpsed freedom beyond their chains. In the next section, we will uncover practical keys to distinguish genuine devotion from trap-laced counsel, so you can open your heart without fear and let true love find you. Staying grounded when you're labeled crazy. Have you ever felt the ground shift beneath your feet when someone looked at you with that accusing glare, as if your very heartbeat echoed a crime? In that moment of decision, you stand at a sacred crossroads. Will you let their words pull you off balance, or will you anchor yourself in a truth deeper than judgment? The world's chorus of calm down becomes a test, not of your composure, but of your conviction. You sense an inner mirror asking, am I willing to be steadfast when they claim I'm unstable? This is the moment that separates passivity from purpose. The path behind you, marked by hesitation, by silent apologies to avoid conflict, gives way to a new line under your name. Here, I choose to stand unshaken. In seasons past, you surrendered pieces of your voice to placate skeptics, a moment of silence traded for a nod of approval, energy drained in service of shrinking yourself. But this was never failure. It was your training ground. Now you reclaim every ounce of presence you lent away. With ritualistic clarity, you speak aloud the time you reclaim by setting boundaries, the energy you reclaim by honoring your intuition, the voice you reclaim by refusing to mute your truth. In the ceremony of the self, you anoint your reclaimed authority with words of power. No longer a supplicant, you seat yourself upon the throne of your life, sovereign over the territory of your soul. You carry within you a constellation of gifts they once dismissed as symptoms of instability. Your sharp insight that reads between the lines of hidden agendas, your sensitivity that senses the subtlest shifts in energy, your memory that recalls divine whispers in the fog of doubt, your discernment that distinguishes genuine from counterfeit, and your strength that weathers storms without losing grace. These are not abstract virtues, but sacred tools for the journey ahead. Picture them as keys that unlock hidden chambers, scrolls inscribed with your destiny, armor forged in a crucible of challenge. When you name these gifts, you no longer fumble in the dark. You stand armed and ready for the mission they called you to fulfill. Look down now at the ground beneath your feet. It is not uncharted territory, but the path laid by every step you've already taken. Each choice you make, each moment you stand firm, activates a clarity that transforms uncertainty into direction. With each footfall, the map of your calling unfolds. Breadcrumbs of synchronicities, invitations that once felt like coincidence now illuminate a route forward. You move with cinematic intention, shoulders squared, breath deep, gaze leveled toward horizons that shift with every stride. This is not about finding a way. It is about activating the way that has been awaiting your full presence and unshakable resolve. Lift your eyes to the wider horizon, and you will see the glow of countless kindred souls awakening alongside you, across cities and cultures. They too are labeled unstable for perceiving what lies hidden beneath the surface. Yet together, you form soul tribes, divine clusters whose combined light overturns the old order. No longer must you dim your flame to fit within fading structures. You stand shoulder to shoulder with those who honor their own radiance. In this rising order, your solitary stance becomes a collective resonance, a chorus of the awakened refusing to be hushed by fear or derision. Feel now the charge of your own energy field, humming with the authority you have reclaimed. You are entrusted with the stewardship of this life force, not as a weapon of ego, but as a conduit for the divine. Set boundaries like ceremonial gates, choosing whom and what you admit into your sacred space. Make daily vows of devotion to practices that ground you, rituals of breath, scripture, or silent communion that tether you to your center. This is no casual task. It is a solemn rite of alignment, an ongoing commitment to steward your energy with reverence and clear intention. Everything you've endured, the nights of self-doubt, the assaults of scorn, the quiet wars fought in your own mind, has led you to this apex of readiness. Hear this declaration as though spoken by the wind through ancient trees. You are ready. Every struggle with refining fire, burning away hesitation until only unshakable purpose remained. Your spirit, once tender and tentative, now stands as unbreakable iron, poised to step through the portal of destiny. Doubt has been consumed by the furnace of becoming. In this final breath before action, you taste the sweetness of resolve and feel the world hold its breath in anticipation of your next move. This is not an ending, but a summons to embodiment. The time for revelation is over. Now comes the age of enactment. Stand now in the living proof of your own rise, the anchor of your truth in a sea of shifting doubt. Comment grounded if you feel the solidity of your presence echoing in your bones, and share a moment when you reclaimed your center amid the storm. Stay close. For the next section, we'll reveal the practical keys that will fortify your unshakable stance, guiding you to walk through every courtroom of disbelief with your head held high and your spirit undimmed. A single silver cord drifts through your dreams, resonating with a vibration that untangles every knot you've carried. In that twilight space, you realize that each trap they set, every whispered doubt, every gilded promise, has been dissolving in that subtle hum. It was never your failing to believe. It was their scripts of control that frayed at the edges when faced with your emerging clarity. This chord, this quiet anthem of awakening, charts a new melody in the depths of your soul, one that unravels the spun threads of manipulation and weaves them into a tapestry of liberation. In this dream-forged moment, you recognize that the chains they held so tight are already loose in the echo of your true resonance. A vision unfolds in your waking hours, revealing a labyrinth of mirrors reflecting the faces that once sought to define you. With each reflection shattering into stardust, you see your own shape, unbound, unmasked, undefeated, emerge from fragments. You move through this hall of illusions with unerring purpose, each step dissolving the images they projected onto your spirit. What they intended as barriers become stepping stones, their designed dead ends rerouted by the compass of your discernment. In this vision, you stand at the center, sunlight pouring in as the false walls around you fall away to reveal a horizon of infinite possibility. Have you felt that inner question thrum like a challenge in your blood? If destiny calls, will you answer? This question is not a gentle invitation, but a trumpet blast in the silent chambers of your heart, demanding action. You remember the nights of whispered prayers, the days when your convictions fluttered like birds in a cage, and you realize those years of hesitation were the antechamber to this moment of decision. Now, the echoes of that question coax you forward, compelling you to step into the ramparts of your calling. There is no turning back. The tides of your purpose have risen, and you are carried on their swell. A soft voice hums at the edge of your awareness, speaking in the language of the winds that once scattered your doubts. They cannot sustain a lie against truth, it intones, as you feel the fabric of falsehood slipping from your shoulders. This whisper carries the weight of ancient prophecies, those recorded on temple walls and in the hidden scrolls of seekers across time. As the wind circles you, it gathers every false narrative they cast upon you, every word meant to diminish your light, and spins them into dust that drifts harmlessly away. In that swirl, you touch the core of your sovereignty, the decree of destiny made manifest in your own name. When you recall the first time your spirit stuttered beneath their smug assurances, you taste the bitterness of betrayal anew. Yet, in that memory, you also find the kernel of your deliverance, like Joseph in Potiphar's house, whose unjust imprisonment became the crucible for prophetic ascent. Your trials have been the shadows that accentuate your brilliance. The injustice they pressed upon you has only sharpened your vision, enabling you to discern the coded patterns they thought to hide. Now, the prison walls of their making stand dismantled, illuminated by the light of your vindication. Contrast washes over you like a tide. The silence of those who once cheered at your restraint now rings hollow against the chorus of your rising. You remember how they once applauded your compliance, only to recoil when you step beyond the boundaries they set. Today, their silence heralds not your defeat, but their own reckoning. You stand as living proof that obedience to spirit outweighs obedience to fear. This contrast, from their applause to their stunned silence, becomes a banner of your victory, the emblem of a power that cannot be contained by conformity. In the hush that follows a storm of transformation, you hear a prophecy swell within your chest. Your rise is a key that unlocks cages for others. This is no fleeting promise, but an urgent clarion call to embody the message you have received. Your clarity is not passive insight. It is catalytic force, meant to crack open hearts dulled by complacency. As you breathe in this prophecy, the embers of your compassion burn brighter, forging a path for fellow travelers to follow. Your light becomes a living sermon that resonates in the despairing and the doubting, showing them that freedom is not only possible, but inevitable. The moment of activation arrives as a singular spark in the stillness. You stand upon the threshold of divine purpose, every fiber of your being aligned with the cosmic current. This is not revenge. It is a triumph of destiny and the undoing of every trap they thought would hold you. Your rise dispels the shadows of manipulation. Your voice shatters the walls of silence, and your presence kindles hope in the hearts of those who watch in faded awe. Comment freedom if you feel the ripple of liberation in your spirit, and share the instant you realize that your awakening was the undoing of every chain. Ahead lies a practical path. We will learn to anchor this power in every breath, every word, and every step, so that no force, seen or unseen, can ever tether you again. A dream snaps open like a book you didn't know you were holding. You are barefoot on a floor of quiet lightning, every vein of light pulsing up through your soles, syncing your heartbeat to something ancient and immense. The room is still, yet charged, and you sense that if you inhale any deeper, you will cross a line you can never uncross. In that suspended breath, the truth arranges itself. Every detour was a deliberate detonation of false maps. Every no you uttered was a yes to a corridor you could not yet see. The spark lands, not in noise, not in spectacle, but in that private click where spirit, mind, and marrow agree. This is the hour. You do not surge out of anger. You rise because gravity itself has changed allegiance and now lifts you instead of holding you down. A question sidles up from the interior hush. When did you realize that the net they cast did not hold water, let alone you? You sift through memories and find the exact second an accusation slid off instead of sinking in. The message you never sent, and watch the storm die without your thunder. The mirror moment where your eyes look back unafraid. That was the fulcrum. Shame, once a chain, became scrap. Fear, once a puppeteer, revealed nothing but strings. You feel the emotional scar tissue along your ribs and bless it. It kept the treasure sealed until hands were clean enough to touch it. This is not revenge, it's reclamation. Destiny has no need to get even. It simply gets on with it. A symbol flashes, a key forged from 7 different metals, each one melted down from a former wound. Insight, sensitivity, memory, discernment, endurance, holy anger, and joy fuse into one blade of access. You slide it into locks you once rattled, and feel mechanisms surrender with a sigh. Codes you used to chase now appear like constellations when you tilt your head just right. Geometry hums beneath your choices. Divine math balances what was stolen with what is restored. Scrolls unroll inside your chest, not with fanfare, but with the quiet authority of things that were always true. You are no longer asking for doors. You are drafting blueprints. A contrast sharpens like 2 climates colliding. Yesterday's hesitation clinging like fog at your ankles. Today's certainty breaking like sun on wet pavement. You step and hear the crackle of old contracts dissolving. Voices that once yank you back sound distant, like shouts from behind a waterfall you've already passed. The map doesn't precede you. It unfolds under your stride, stone by stone, Exodus style, as if the sea still remembers how to make room for the chosen. Each action is a lantern swung ahead, revealing just enough for the next move and trusting the rest to timing you now trust like pulse. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members for holding this flame. 4 full prophetic revelations daily. Join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the awakening we share. They called you crazy, but now they watch in stunned silence as you awaken fully.